Right, guys, how's it going? Welcome back to a What the Fuck series where I look back at headlines over the years concerning Liverpool Football Club that made us go, what the fuck? All right. I think the last video in this series was about Steven Gerrard wanting to join Chelsea. He didn't, obviously. But at the time, it was, what the fuck? All right. So we're going to look at one today, and it's headlined, Bowyer Move Collapses. Some of you will remember this. I remember it very well. Right, so I'm going to read the article to you. This is from the BBC on the 21st of July, 2002. Can you believe that? 23 years ago, is it? Are we in 2025 now? I have no idea what year we're in. I think we're in 2025. I'm getting old. And I remember this being debated big time on the Cop Talk VIP members website at the time. It was massive news. So here's the full article. I'll go over the article. Then I'm going to tell you a bit about Lee Bowyer. And then I'm going to tell you a bit, like opinion and stuff that I remember from back then about all this. So Bowyer move collapses. Liverpool have pulled out of a deal to bring Leeds midfielder Lee Bowyer to Anfield. The two clubs had agreed a £9 million fee, £9 million, for the 25-year-old, but Liverpool were unable to agree personal terms with the player last week. Now the Anfield side have decided to abandon the deal. A statement on the club's website read, Liverpool FC have decided not to go ahead with the proposed transfer of Lee Bowyer for a variety of reasons. Manager Gerard Houllier was not convinced the player had either the hunger or desire to play for the club. Qualities which are essential for any Liverpool player. That's fucking brutal. I ain't seen many statements like that over the years. The England hopeful has been on the Leeds transfer list since rejecting the offer of a 5-year contract worth a reported £10 million at the end of May. I never asked to go on the transfer list and made it clear to Mr. Ridsdale, that was Leeds United chairman, that I had reservations when they accepted Liverpool's bid, said Bowyer. So it's probably in the best interest of all parties that the deal did not go through. Bowyer did not travel with Leeds when they set off on their pre-season tour of Asia and Australia on Saturday. In December last year, Bowyer was cleared of criminal charges relating to an attack on an Asian student, Sarfraz Najib. Leeds fined him 4 weeks' wages, around £64,000, after he admitted being drunk on the night. When he refused to pay, Leeds placed him on the transfer list. He later changed his mind and agreed to cough up. But it says pay up. Meanwhile, Blackburn Rovers boss Graham Souness has confirmed Liverpool's interest in signing Republic of Ireland winger Damien Duff. Souness said Liverpool had inquired about Duff and that the player was available for the right price. Now, I remember us being linked with Damien Duff. He was linked with us every transfer window back then. So main story, let's recap the article points. Liverpool and Leeds had agreed a £9 million fee. The deal broke down over personal terms. There was even a photo of Bowyer and Houllier shaking hands at Melwood, which made the back pages of the tabloids stating that a deal had been agreed. That's how close it was. And this is what I say to people about, how things can change in football. I remember that picture. It was one of the paparazzi long zoom cameras over the wall at Melwood. And there he was shaking hands with Houllier, and both smiling. Deal done kind of thing. But it still didn't go ahead. It just shows you how things can change, right? Liverpool's official statement was brutal. Manager Gerard Houllier was not convinced the player had either the hunger or desire to play for the club, qualities which are essential for any Liverpool player. Now, Bowyer's response, he claimed he never asked to go on the transfer list in the first place, said he had reservations when Leeds accepted Liverpool's bid, admitted it was probably best the deal didn't happen. Now, context and background, Bowyer had refused a 5-year £10 million deal at Leeds United. He didn't travel with the team for pre-season. Only a few months earlier, he'd been cleared of those criminal charges after a very high-profile case involving the attack on an Asian student. Leeds fined him that 64 grand for being pissed up on the night. And when he refused to pay, they stuck him on the transfer list. He later caved and paid up. Now, the aftermath angle, if you like, while the Bowyer deal collapsed, Liverpool were also sniffing around Damien Duff at Blackburn, and Graham Souness even confirmed Duff was available for the right price. Fast forward, Bowyer, years later, in recent years, he's claimed that he pulled the plug. I was very close to joining Liverpool. I was halfway through a medical, but it just didn't feel right for me at the time. He later admitted it was his biggest regret in football. If I could have turned the clock back, I would have gone. Looking back, I made the wrong decision. He explained his thinking at the time. Said he felt his time at Leeds was up to things behind the scenes. Didn't want to commit to another 5 years up north away from his family. Ironically, he then joined Newcastle, which was further away. His reflection, at the time, it just didn't feel right. And that was the mistake I made. Now, if you still don't know who Lee Bowyer is, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about him. This is him here. Lee Bowyer, many years ago. He was a midfielder who came through at Charlton. Made his name at Leeds in the late 1990s and early 2000s. He was a box-to-box midfielder known for his energy, aggression and knack for late runs into the box. Scored crucial goals for Leeds, especially during their Champions League campaign in 2001. He was talented, no question, guys, no question about it. But he also carried a fiery reputation both on and off the pitch. And off the pitch, it's very important to Liverpool Football Club. That 2001 assault case, Bowyer and his teammate Jonathan Woodgate, another cock, were charged after an attack on an Asian student, Sarfraz Najib, in Leeds city centre. The trial was huge news at the time, and it really was, guys. It dragged on for months, and in December 2001, Bowyer was cleared of all charges. Woodgate, however, was found guilty of affray, but cleared of grievous bodily harm. Bowyer wasn't convicted, but the case left a huge stain on his reputation. Was it deemed a racial attack? Well, the victim was Asian, so many perceived it that way in the media and public debate. You can imagine what it was like online, right, at the time. However, Bowyer was acquitted, and the judge said there was no evidence of racist abuse from him personally. Still, the whole saga created a massive cloud around him. Leeds fined him those 4-week wages for being drunk on the night of the attack. He refused to pay, so he was transfer listed, and later on he did cough up the money. He was also known for being fiery, even once brawling on the pitch with his Newcastle United teammate Kieran Dyer in 2005. Now, officially, Liverpool pulled the plug in 2002 because Gerard Houllier said Bowyer lacked the hunger and desire to play for Liverpool Football Club. But in reality, many felt the PR and backlash risk around signing him fresh off that trial was the real reason. Liverpool at the time were very image conscious, under Gerard Houllier and David Moores, the former owner and chairman. The outrage surrounding Bowyer absolutely played a part. It just wasn't publicly acknowledged, so instead they framed it as a footballing decision. And I can tell you I've got a shit memory, but I remember that. And I think it was one of the biggest controversial things that we have ever seen, or I have ever seen, from the interaction of our supporters online. When our fan base kicks off, right? These days, I mean, at the moment, everyone's happy. We've had a good summer. But, in recent years, we've had that divide, haven't we? We've had the FSG outfit versus so-called top reds. And the fan base has kind of been at itself for a bit. Fortunately, we had a good summer and everyone's happy at the moment. Long may it continue, because I hate it when our fans are, clashing and shit. Because at the end of the day, whatever you think about the owners or whether someone's a local supporter or an outlet, whatever, we're supposed to be on the same side. So it's not good when we see people, threatening to kill each other, which sometimes happens. But back then, over the Bowyer incident, I'm going to tell you, transparency, right? I like to be transparent about anything I'm commenting on. I was, let me rephrase it. I was going to say I was in favour of signing Lee Bowyer. However, I wasn't aware or didn't understand the ins and outs of the case against him, right? I'm trying to think, how many years ago are we talking? What did it say? Was it 2002? We're talking 23 years ago, half my age almost, so I was, a younger lad or whatever. Didn't really pay much attention to the news and things like that. But I knew who Lee Bowyer was. He was a good footballer. That's why Liverpool was sniffing around him in the first place, clearly. And but I wasn't aware of this court case. Yes, it was high profile if you follow the news. And when it all kicked off, that was when I then learnt about the court case, if that makes sense. And when I say kicked off, right, this is what I'm saying about our fan base coming together. At the time, the fans went mental. The fans went mental. We don't want him anywhere near this club. He's a racist prick. He's a thug, right? Whether it was justified or not. You know, I tend not to comment on court cases and things unless I have, you know, seen all of the evidence and stuff. I watch trials, right? Some of you will know this that follow my personal YouTube channel, the Duncan Oldham channel. In my spare time, maybe it's a bit boring, I don't know. I watch trials live from the US, right? When I'm not doing my cop talk stuff, if I down tools in the afternoon, I'll stick a trial on and I'll follow it for a couple of weeks, right? I love that shit. And when I go to America, I sit in on trials for a week or two. Yeah, every day I'll go to the courthouse and sit in on a trial. It's my shit. I like that, right? So I always think that you shouldn't comment on things sometimes unless you've got all the facts. And to be honest with you, I didn't have the facts regarding the Bowyer thing. But what I do know was it sounded like, and I'm sure I saw video footage, but we're going back a fucking long time, guys, like quarter of a century almost, right? I'm sure that there was video footage, and I don't think it was nice viewing. The whole thing did sound shit. So you can say, oh, he was cleared of it, you know, but sometimes, you know, people can be cleared of things, but there's still that suspicion or nastiness around it. And our fans were like, we don't want him near our football club, right? And maybe, you know, I was still a younger lad back then, still learning about Liverpool Football Club. And I don't care what anyone says. I'm an out-of-towner. I'm not a local supporter, right? And if you are an out-of-towner, sometimes you might not understand the traditions, the values of the club. You know, some people think that's just a football club. They put the boots on, they play football. And I learned more and more over the years as I got older about what the people of Liverpool are, what they expect, what's right, what's wrong, whether you're a blue or a red, you know. And nobody really endorsed this idea of signing Bowyer. And like I'm saying, there was this handshake, and it was like, it's on. It was on the back page of the Mirror newspaper. I would imagine it would have been Dave Maddock that covered it. You know, he was, at the time, Dave Maddock was like your Paul Joyce at the Times, right? Maddock was fucking great. You know, he's still out there, but he's not, you know, covering Liverpool like he did because the people that he was connected to are no longer at the club. But yeah, the whole thing, just like they can say, oh, you know, personal terms weren't agreed, or Bowyer can say, I just thought it didn't feel right. And it was never ever admitted, but there's no doubt about it in my mind that deal didn't go ahead because the fans went fucking mental. I think that's the only time I've ever seen that. I think, can any of you remember another time where anything like that's ever happened? Absolute disgust at the possibility of signing a player. Paul Ince didn't go down very well, you know what I mean? When I was a young lad, I fucking hated Paul Ince as a Manchester United player. If you can think of a Manchester United player, even though Man United are not very relevant these days, but at the time, I hated United. And maybe listen, I mean hated in a fucking, you know, in a rivalry way, and hating your rivals is a compliment. It's the biggest compliment you can give because it means you're bothered. You're attached. You know they're a threat, you know. And in signing for us, I was like, this fucking... I hated Paul Ince. We signed him. I was furious. Michael Thomas. Do I need to explain Michael Thomas with his fucking goal for Arsenal? I was about 14, 15, and I was in tears. Then we signed the cunt. Ince, Thomas, you know, Bowyer, almost. Look how close Nabil Fekir got to us. That Fekir. Right? You know what I mean? It shows you how anything can happen. So for me, this is when people start talking, you know, in the transfer windows, it's done. Nah. People will say, then that's done. It's never done until there's a contract signed, sealed and delivered, legally binding. I mean, we had El Hadji Diouf. He was another cunt, wasn't he? But we didn't know that when we signed him. And I would imagine that El Hadji Diouf is probably the most despised Liverpool player ever. Would you agree with that statement? Or can you throw someone else into the equation? And be fair with it. You can't just say this player was despised because he was shit. You know what I mean? A bit harsh. But, you know, I'm talking about reputation, or as Brendan Rodgers would say, character. So Lee Bowyer, he was a good player. He was a good player. And they must have seen that. They saw that talent. But I just genuinely don't think that Liverpool realised the backlash that would come from the fans. And I think around that period, social media, if it even existed then, I assume it did, or was just taking off. Imagine it today. We're a very diverse football club, right? So I think it would have been even, well, it wouldn't have happened today. They wouldn't have gone near it today. And from memory, and this bit might be wrong, I genuinely can't remember this bit, but there's something in my mind that keeps coming into my mind that something to do with David Moore was the one that said this can't happen. Because David Moore's, main man at Liverpool, people in the city were probably saying, David, you can't, fuck it. They'll be seeing what the reaction to it. So, there's this whole thing, like in life, guilty until proven innocent. You know what the internet fucking jury's like. You can get accused of something. People, they're not bothered about the truth, the facts, whatever. Guilty until proven innocent. Now, ironically, Bowyer was cleared, and the judge says there was no racial thing in it, but it was still too dodgy for our fans. And we will have a lot of Asian supporters, right? And I think that today, it would have been even louder. I don't think they would have gone near it. Back then, at the internet back then, I think we've learned a lot about each other since then as supporters, and that we all have different, backgrounds and religions and cultures, different skin colours, whatever. But back then, the internet was still in its infancy, really. Cop Talk started, I started Cop Talk as a newsletter, mailing this in about 98 or something like that. So I was in right from the start. And I think that we were probably, society, still a little bit ignorant of each other then. I don't think we all understood each other, whereas social media and the internet has brought people closer together, more tolerant and things like that. So I think there would have been, I think at the time, the likes of David Moores, for example, and Gerard Houllier probably didn't realise probably underestimated the bad feeling of this attack on an Asian man. I really should have read about it before I did this video, just to remind myself a little bit, but I don't think I need to really. It was a thuggish attack. I remember seeing bits of it. So anyway, yeah, that's it. That was the time we nearly signed Lee Bowyer. Now, is there any, I mentioned it, obviously I posted this on the members website today. Let's read some of the comments. I posted this on the members website today and said, does anybody who was on here back then? I remember this like it was yesterday. Rushy said, me, I was here. Charlie, he says, me too. I remember the case and the brawl with Dyer. I felt sorry for Suey having to manage him. Glad we didn't buy him, to be honest. More trouble than he was worth, in my humble opinion. JLFB was there too, and Archie. Me too, glad we didn't sign him. He wasn't really a Liverpool-style player. And Mad of London said, I was so glad we didn't sign him. Regardless of the result of the case, I didn't like his reputation, and he just wasn't a Liverpool-type player. And I didn't trust the courts when it came to racially motivated incidents, especially during that point in time. And I think that's a good comment, to be honest with you. Anyway, Lee Bowyer. Now, if you do remember all of that, did you rate Lee Bowyer? Now, if you didn't like Lee Bowyer because of his character, you can say that. But did you rate him as a player? Can you turn around and say, you know what, he was a good player, but his character it was not right for Liverpool. And Liverpool's always been a club, I think, that tries to do things right. Which is why it was really surprising when all that Suarez shit kicked off and they were all wearing them T-shirts and stuff. But that's a story for another day. But for now, let's conclude on this subject. Let me know what you think, guys. All right? I don't know where Lee Bowyer is now. Do you know where he is? Shall I have a look before we sign off? Again, a professional would have looked at this. I'm like, oh, Lee Bowyer, I wonder what he's doing today. In fairness to me, I was in the cafe at like 7 o'clock reading this morning, so I was probably still asleep. He's an English football manager and former professional player. All right. His manager, well, Where is he at then? As a player, he was a midfielder who featured for Charlton, Leeds, West Ham, Newcastle, Birmingham City and Ipswich. 18 years as a professional, almost 400 appearances in the Premier League. Took part in semi-finals, UEFA Cup, Champions League. Won the Football League Cup with Birmingham. Capped once by England. He's managed two of the clubs for which he formerly played. After 3 years in charge of Charlton, he left to become Birmingham City's manager in March 21, was sacked at the end of the following season. And in September 23, he was appointed as the head coach of Montserrat. The Montserrat national team represents Montserrat in international football. Never heard of him. Montserrat. Should I know about Montserrat? British overseas territory in the Caribbean. What about it? Leeds United, West Ham, Newcastle, international managerial. So he did Charlton as manager, Birmingham, and Montserrat. But I don't think he's managed that. But he took charge of the Montserrat national football team in 23, winning in his opening games 3-2 against Barbados. I might fuck off to Barbados. Should we go to Barbados? Do you fancy an holiday in Barbados? I've never been there. He won 4 of his 14 games in charge and was replaced by Angus E for their June 25 fixtures after relegation to the CONCACAF Nations League C and losing their... No idea. It says he was with them to 24, so he's not in the game now, I don't think. Let's have a look on social media. Bear with me. Go and put kettle on or something. Do something constructive, helpful, right? What is Lee Bowyer, the former professional footballer, up to these days? There we go. Do that. And do that. Someone's messaging me. Who's messaging me? Alright, okay. I want to put Lee Bowyer in here. Latest. Nothing. No, that one there. Got nothing on social media. Player to manager, we know about all that. Montserrat left there in 28th of May 2025. As mid-2025, Bowyer is without a club or national team in a coaching capacity. That said, he appears keen to return to management. In interviews, he's expressed that he prefers managing the full responsibility rather than just being a coach, and that he'd like to take on a new role in the near future. He's also kept linked with some possibilities. For instance, there's been talk of Leeds United considering him as an interim manager, but when was that? That was 2 years ago. That didn't sound right, did it? What about this one? No specific job rumours have surfaced in recent months, but his experience in promotions and international setup positions him well for opportunities in lower tier English leagues or similar. So he's doing fuck all, he's unemployed. All right. Right, I'll leave it with you. If you found the video informing, interesting, please thumbs up the video. Please drop me a comment. Do you like this series? Remember, I'm picking out the best comments from my videos each day now and giving someone every day a free Cop Talk VIP membership for a year, which is worth 50 quid. I do that on my morning briefings on my other channel, all right? I announce the winner every morning, right at the beginning, so you don't have to subject yourself to the entire briefings. So yeah, thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. Drop me a comment, any thoughts, any opinions on it. Do you remember it? Were you around then? Etc, etc. There's a love out under the video if you want to buy me a coffee or a beer. I know you won't do. Not many people do. But it's Saturday and I am going out for a beer today, so I hope you wish me well. I feel like I need a beer today. I like my Saturdays out, guys, But yeah, there's love out under the video. It's like buying me a beer or a coffee. I always give a shout out to people that do that in my morning briefings as well. You can support the channel by becoming a channel member. The link is somewhere. I think you can click join under the video. Anyone that's got a football next to their name in the comments has done that. They're my squad. They're the people that look after me, that walk with me. And you could also become a VIP member if you wanted to, but I doubt anyone will do that. All right, but keep an eye on the morning briefings. I picked 2 people from yesterday and announced who they are over there. All right, guys, have a great weekend. I don't think I've got anything else planned for you. I will take a look and see if there's anything else. It's really quiet at the moment. I hate it when it's like this, to be honest with you. Not seeing much, you know, my videos haven't been getting many views. Yesterday, I noticed that didn't really get any views. It doesn't bother me too much in that sense. I'm not a person that's like, oh, I want views, views, views. It just means that I'll do less videos because there's no point making loads of videos if people are not watching them. So what I'm going to do, I think, next week is in the morning I'll look for some videos, and then 12 o'clock I'll just do something else, maybe do a bit of writing or something like that, which I need to do, to be honest with you. But if people are there, I'll do the vids. But I don't know, maybe it's just a bit quiet at the moment. So anyway, a massive thank you to those of you that remain loyal to me and do watch my vids, even when the transfer window's closed. All right, guys, take it easy. Have a great weekend, and we'll speak real soon.